Darren Waller. What is up, Finn fans? This one was not on my bingo card. No, definitely not on my bingo card. The Dolphins are trading a conditional 6th-round pick for Darren Waller and a conditional 7th-round pick of 2027. So essentially, they traded away a 2027 7th rounder and got a 2027 5th rounder, but then picked up they're getting Darren Waller, who is coming out of retirement to play for the Dolphins for a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million per Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey, which means incentive based and yada yada blah blah blah. I made a video today, if you haven't gone and checked it out, talking about potential tight end targets. Darren Waller was not one of them. I talked about Cole Kmet. I talked about Mark Andrews. I talked about Kyle Pitts, kind of, but I was like, I don't see that probably happening. I talked about the Titans tight end. I talked about a few guys. Obviously, Michael Mayer, we've all been talking about. Not Darren Waller. Not Darren Waller. This is from Tom Pelissero, who says Darren Waller retired last summer, but he recently informed the Giants he wants to play again, only if he could do it in Miami. Now he gets his wish. He'll sign an adjusted incentive-laden deal to complete the trade. Darren Waller turns 33 in September, but after the year off, I'm told he's refreshed mentally and physically, ready to give it another shot. So, updated Dolphins skill group. You have 2 at quarterback: Achane, Jalen Wright, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Nick Westbrook, Darren Waller, and Pharaoh Brown. Yeah, the Dolphins go out and get Darren Waller. Now, Darren Waller worked with Frank Smith, who was our offensive coordinator, who was his tight end coach with the Raiders. Now, when Darren Waller was with the Baltimore Ravens. He was a wide receiver. Then he went to Oakland. And in 2019 and 2020, he had over 1,000 receiving yards. In 2020, in 2019, he was comeback player of the year, I think it was, because he got injured. Went to the Pro Bowl in 2020. 107 receptions, 1,196 yards, and 9 touchdowns. So, he was a hot commodity in 2020. Went to the Giants, didn't do much. That there was a big trade in the offseason 2023. They went out and got him. Everyone was like, wow, Darren Waller, good move for the Giants. Hasn't played. Didn't play in 2024, retired. It's a low risk, high reward move. You're sending a 6th, which no one's really going to use a 6th. If Waller comes back and he plays anything like he did, if he can give us any type of production, we don't need him to be the best. We don't need, we're not going to target him 111 times like we did Jonnu Smith. But if he can give us what he can off of, somewhat what he did with the Raiders, if Frank Smith can open up a little bit of what he did, if Embry, our tight end coach, can, get something out of him, then cool. 33. Well, it's going to be 33. I honestly, I'm not mad about it. I'm not like, wow, what a waste. What are they doing? Yada, yada. But it's not a name where we're all like, okay, cool. I'm happy. We got, it's not even like, if you went and watched earlier today's video, I talked about the tight end from the Tennessee Titans who seemed to have been a good fit for Miami. It's not even in that aspect. But it's surprising. Let's say that. It's definitely surprising. I'm not mad. I'm not ecstatic. I'm not like clapping my hands saying good move. You know, it's not like yesterday when we went and traded for Mika Fitzpatrick, but it's intriguing. How about that? I'm very intrigued to see how he does. I'm very intrigued to see how he is physically. I'm very intrigued to see if he can still produce like he has in the past. I'm very intrigued to see what Mike McDaniel and this offense can get out of him because, like I said earlier today, that I think a lot of the production that came out of Jonnu Smith was because of the offense. Again, not knocking Jonnu, because obviously you have to be the player to get the production as well. But the Dolphins definitely put him in a great situation to get that production. Again, 111 targets. We'll see how this pans out. Am I cool with the tight end position? I'm all right with it. How about that? I'm not as worried as I was, but I don't think it is completely solved. But I don't think it ever needed to be completely solved, if I'm being honest with you, because of how they're going to use Achane and how they're going to use Tyreek and Westbrook and Malik Washington and Jalen Waddle and, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, it seems like they're going in a different route with the offense. It might not be that 12 personnel set. You have Ollie Gordon, who could be back there and doing all that stuff. So this is intriguing. How about that? I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I don't think it's a bad move. I don't think it's a blockbuster move. It's not like that. Like I said, they went out and got, like, getting Mark Andrews didn't make any sense. You're not paying $14 million a year for a tight end if you weren't going to pay Jonnu 12. It's intriguing. It's definitely intriguing. 100% intriguing. No one saw it coming. Came out of left field, but you got a 6'6", 238-pound tight end who runs fast, who's very, you know, he's a elusive, fast, physical was a wide receiver, tight end transfer back in 2019 and has production. Obviously, me and the guys are going to be talking about this on the collective tonight. We're going to be talking about all these moves, but very interesting. I don't know how many times I could say that. Very, very interesting. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Are you pissed? Are you happy? Are you like me and you're just like, let's see how this pans out? Comment below. If you want to be part of the Q&A, go to earlier today's video and leave your comments or questions there with Q&A in the beginning. That will probably come out. I'm going to give that some time to stew. Maybe Thursday I'll do the Q&A video. But yeah, the Dolphins trade for Darren Waller, and it's only a 6th round pick, and we get a 7th back. So, surprise. But comment below. Let me know. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're gonna talk O-line, unless there's another trade that happens, or unless the Dolphins sign a corner or sign offensive line depth or whatever. Because now there's only 2 areas that I think they need to address to make me feel better going into the season. Obviously, they need a corner. There's a plenty out there that the Dolphins can make a chance at. And give me some O-line depth. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. No update on the cap yet. Obviously, there's a lot of moving pieces that need to get done. But when we get an update on the cap, I will tell you guys all about that. But yeah, let me know. I'll see you tomorrow, unless there's more news. But like usual, stay classy. Heads up.